I love it.
G'day, Sol.
G'day, mate.
How are you? What are you holding?
I got a little parts caster Strat. I like to buy kind of random custom builds off Marketplace, usually that some guy has just put together themselves. And then sometimes you kind of get lucky and you find they've got some really expensive pickups or something. Or they just feel really good, and that's a lot of my stuff here is just kind of random builds. I've never actually built a guitar myself, but I like when other people do it.
You've got some good ones.
Yeah.
Well, aside from that, what's going on?
Oh man.
What's today bringing you?
Today is bringing me much joy, thanks to your lovely self. It is. I actually got a lot of my overdub work done last night. I just started kind of plugging in at like 10 o'clock, and I ended up writing a chart, and I was like, oh, I'll just do rhythms for this track and finish it in the morning, and then I ended up doing the whole thing because it was fun. I'll be going over to Curb 43 Studios for today for a 2 to 5 or 2 to 6. They had it booked as something, and then it kind of got moved around, and we're just kind of doing like an afternoon thing. And then that's pretty much it.
So what's the difference between a session and overdubs then? Because you do overdubs here, but sessions somewhere else?
Yes. It's definitely it's definitely kind of an important thing, and it's like, you know, players out there, kids, whoever, just kind of always remember this, that I find it's very important to say, if you're doing overdubs at the house, or you're, you know, doing something in your, whatever, your hotel room or your basement or garage or whatever, that is just called doing overdubs in your basement or garage or whatever. It's, you don't
It's got to be or whatever.
It's not. It's like you don't say I've got a session today. And people will be like, well, where are you recording? Be like, well, at my house. And you're like, it's not really that.
With my Focusrite.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I mean, technically it is, but there's definitely a big difference where a session is anything where there's a producer involved, someone else who is calling you in somewhere to do something. Like if you're going to someone else's house and doing overdubs, then yes, that's a look at Debs. He's loving it.
He's asleep. He's like, Dad's talking about sessions again.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Amazing. Or if you're going to another studio to track with a band, that is, you know, that's a session in its truest form, which is what we're doing this afternoon.
So when would you say your first session was? What was it?
Yeah, you know what? I think it was, I did something in, it's my buddy Alex Gilson's place over in, I think in East Nashville. And he called me over just to overdub on 4 songs for an EP artist project that he was doing. This would have been like 2013, 14, maybe a little bit before that. I think there was some other things sort of before then where I'd sort of found myself in a situation where someone was like, hey, come in and play guitar, you know, since I'm talking to you and since you're already here and you seem enthusiastic, come in and play. Like, that to me is like a little bit different. Like the first time it was sort of someone was just like, hey, I got your number and I like you're playing, could you come in and record for
So being called for you.
being
not-
actually called for you, yeah, or for me.
That's a good feeling.
And that, that blossomed into a long friendship and a long relationship with Sweet Alex. He had Gold Cassette Studios for about 10 years over by Belmont, and we would work there at least once a week, doing lots of custom projects, lots of independent stuff. It was me and Will Houchins and a couple other, Dylan Rowe and a couple other guys. We were sort of like the band, and we would show up and do the stuff that Alex was producing, and then some other producers would come in, and then Alex. That's a typical sort of trajectory for someone who sort of owns a studio. You actually kind of want that. You kind of start it like you're booking things yourself, you're finding your own artists and your own clients, and you'll be like, I'm just going to act as a producer, facilitator, engineer for this project. And then you're hoping that other successful producers are going to hear about it, and they say, I want to come in, but I want to use your guys, and I want to use you to engineer, and I'm going to come in and produce. And that's how we ended up doing. We did the first Luke Combs record there.
So it's like everything's already in place, but someone's heard about it and it's like, you know what, you do your thing, but I'm going to kind of be the head of the operation, but I want you guys to support me underneath that.
That's exactly it. And that's sort of what you want as a studio owner, to be able to sort of survive in this economic climate and this ecosystem, is like be adaptable and be willing. I mean, there's some amazing producers that have just their own private place and they don't rent it out to other people. My studio that I have is that way just because of my workflow. It's not.
So I wanted to ask.
It's not because I'm too cool to let anyone in there. It's just, no, I have everything patched in exactly the way that I like it, and I can't have someone coming in here messing around, changing mics and stuff, because then I got to put it back together. But the studio owners who I know who've done really well are like, they use it for lots of different things. Like they do their own projects, they rent it out, lease it out to other people. Yeah, I mean it's a tough world, we're living in. Everyone's really working hard,
I wanted to ask about that. You've been up in Muscle Shoals a lot, and you got your own little studio spot. What's that?
I do. It's a studio. It's above a famous studio there called the Nut House. Jimmy Nutt owns it. He built it some years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Beautiful old building. It used to be a bank. He's got a fantastic A room downstairs that's huge and has all of the trimmings and everything. And then he built a little B room upstairs some years ago and rented it to a few different people. And I kind of came in and joined as sort of like a partner because I needed a spot down there to be able to do things when I was down there on weekends and such. And I ended up taking over the lease for that place upstairs, and it's now mine. And I keep, I've got tons of gear there, and I bring people down from Nashville to do artist projects and work on records, sometimes one song at a time, sometimes 4 or 5 songs in a day, just knocking stuff out. But usually I kind of save most of my overdub work to do there. I hire an engineer just because my shoulder and my back are kind of a little stressed over years of doing this, going back and forth from keyboard to mouse to guitar. Right. Kind of fucked my shoulder up a little bit, and it's not terrible, but I got to a point where I was like, there's great engineers. I'm gonna hire someone to run Pro Tools for me, and that way I can do 8 songs in a day and not be tired because I've got someone else doing file management and stuff. I can go smoke a cigarette while they're loading up the Dropbox and sending out the tracks. I'm not having to do all the admin kind of stuff. But I still work out of here a good bunch too. This is my place in Nashville. I have a sort of scaled down version of what my rig is at my big studio, and similar kind of different versions of all of the instruments that I might need. And I have a lot of people like coming over here, and they'll say, hey, can I come over at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday and knock out an overdub and work on a track? Or they'll send me something. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if you really want this to be like the full-on treatment where I've got multiple cabs, multiple mics, tons of different amps and all the guitars and all the outboard gear, book me on the weekend, or just be patient and wait till Saturday or Sunday and I'll get you that. But a lot of the stuff is quick demo stuff where someone will be like, hey, like, sorry to do this, but we need a 24 or a 48-hour turnaround on this.
Well, so you get a lot of, hey, can you do this now?
Oh
Here's the
yeah,
money.
that's the bread and butter. That's,
really?
I mean, that's sort of what pays the bills when you're slow, or it's a slow season, or
Okay.
and I've just like gotten better at that, about being okay with knowing that if you don't have a full calendar the following week, just being confident that something's going to come up.
So
Someone will need something.
moving into was it Jake Owen that you were with before was that your last big road gig before you kind of did the session?
No, that was my very first gig.
That was your very first
Yeah.
gig. So before you decided, hey, I'm gonna kind of give this thing a go, what was like kind of the big? Did you have a big gig, or were you just around town? Or moving into session work has got to be scary, as you said. Like, you know, slow season. Your first slow season when you're trying to approach this and do all this has got to be. That's got to be, you know, even slow season as a Broadway player is scary. So how have you seem quite comfortable with slow season now. How have you learned to manage that as a musician, as a person, but also in the line of work you're in, which is a much more narrow field than playing bars or touring or anything like that?
Yeah, so to answer your question, by some standards, the gigs that I did were big gigs because they were bus gigs, and it was stadiums and arenas and amphitheaters and big tours and stuff, but they weren't big gigs in the sense that it was like, this is retirement money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was not enough to be like, I'm set for life. You know, I did 10 years kind of on and off with a bunch of different artists. Some of them were long-term gigs, and then a lot of it was just subbing or kind of switching out between a few different guitar players that were like on that gig. Because you get those some artists that don't do enough shows a year to be able to keep a band around, so they have to keep their sort of, here's my top tier guys, here's my second tier guys, and here's my third tier guys. And when they have a year when they're just like, hey, like, sorry, I've only got 21 shows in the calendar this year, then that's sort of the etiquette, is to be like, guys, feel free to look for something else. I'll call you, and if you're available, great, and if not, find someone else. But I tried like 3 times to get off the road and failed twice. In the sense that, well, I didn't have my shit together as far as like a plan. It was kind of, you know, I'd be doing sessions with Sweet Alex over at Gold Cassette and then a couple other places, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try to hang my hat on this. I've got 3 people that are calling me periodically once a month. I've got 1 or 2 people that are sending me overdubs a few times a month. I think this is enough to be able to get rid of that few $1,000 a month that were coming in from the road gig. And it's like a lot of this stuff was like, yeah, like I said, it wasn't top tier stuff, so there wasn't always travel pay. You know, you know how this works. A 2-show run turns into really it's a 4-day
4 days
thing, with a couple days on either end to recover from all of the shenanigans. So really, it was it's like a touring gig is, unless you're just really smart and you're good at doing stuff, multitasking and all that. It's a full-time thing. It takes 5 days out of your week at least.
Right.
Even though you're really only working for like 2 of them. But I tried to do it, and I'd find myself 6 months in, and I'd be struggling to pay bills, and then someone would call me and be like, "Hey, do you want to come out on this gig? I just put your name in for it." And I'd be like, "Yeah, all right." Or it'd be like, "Do you want to come back? You know, our guitar player got sick, or we just lost a member or something. Do you want to join? Like, we'll bump the pay up a little bit from last time, but it's still going to be kind of same old." And you know, I'd go do that for another 2 years or something, and then it would finally be like, I'm done with this, and I'm leaving. The very last gig I did was where I kind of decided that I really was sort of truly ready and kind of at the level to where I didn't want to worry about it anymore. I was supposed to go to Canada, and I told the artist, I told the manager, I told everyone in the whole organization beforehand, I was like, I'm probably going to have to sub this gig out because I was on a visa. We weren't going to any of the major cities to do like the embassy interviews and stuff. I haven't left the country in 17 years just because it's such a pain in the ass to get back in. And that has limited my touring a lot. And I told them, I was like, hey, I'm going to have to probably sub this gig out unless something happens. I'll talk to my lawyer and see what they can do. But it's really, this isn't worth it for the, you know.
Oh, it's a hassle.
It's not worth it for the money that is required to go and do this thing. And it was a festival. I sort of told them straight up. I had a guy prepped, ready. He learned the show. He'd played with the artist before and was ready to jump in and do the show. Be like, just, you know, my boy is going to do the Canada run, this one show. He's going to get up there and do it. And they, just for whatever reason, weren't cool with that. They were like, we really like got to have you. And I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. I've got the guy. He's ready to go. Here's his number. I've done my part.
Yeah.
I've found the dude. I'm not getting paid enough to like manage this whole thing. I'm not MD of this band, you know. And I was at a session at Sound Emporium while they were supposed to be leaving on the bus, and they're calling me and just be like, they thought I was going to give in and show up and do it, and I was like, no, I'm in a session. I told you what the deal was. Yep. I'm not going to Canada.
I'm not going.
And
to Canada.
You know, I was fired a couple days later, you know, for good reason.
Yeah.
It's like they're clearly like, yeah, you're clearly not, this isn't where your head or your heart is. You know, it's fun gig and great time, but you got to commit. You know, you've got to give a certain amount of, you've got to be able to wiggle a little bit. You got to be able to say no to sessions. You got to say no to, you know, things that can greatly inconvenience you. You have to kind of be okay with that. There's a little bit of give and take, and that was finally the moment. After that, I never did a full-time gig. I mean, I'll go out on buses with people and do runs all the time, and it's great fun. But as far as being a sort of, you're part of the organization, this is your gig, we really expect you to be around, available all the time and be doing this full time. That's in the past for me. Now it's sort of, do you want to do this? And I'm like, well, what are the conditions?
Yeah,
can I sub it out if something else comes up? And a lot of people have taught me that. They're just like, don't undervalue yourself. You know,
right.
Have standards. You know, like know what's okay and what's not okay.
So you touched on something we both have dealt with for many years, which is the visa.
Yes.
So I guess we should quickly talk about that, because you helped me get my first visa. You really kind of saved my ass with my first O1.
Right on.
Because I had no clue what I was doing. So well, firstly, congratulations, because I saw you got your green card.
I did, yes.
Huge.
Oh, thanks, man.
After 15 years?
Yeah, I finally just bit the bullet and did the application and filled out the criteria as best as I could, and it got approved. I don't actually have it yet. They still have to do the adjustment of status, so I'm waiting on that, which is a little bit of a pain in the ass.
We sent mine in yesterday, so I get mine. I get mine. I know how it is, but like, so you moved here on an O1. Is that an artist visa? Yeah. And what did that look like? Just a brief overview, because I think a lot of people ask how do I get here from Britain or Australia, or one guy said from Scotland, and I guess they're a little confused about how you and I are able to exist here and play guitar.
Oh, dude, this would be a great thing to just put out as a separate piece of content, just to help people who are asking about this, because I get hit up about it all the time.
Okay, well, let's touch on it for 1 minute, but let's come back and make a full video.
Absolutely. Because people always ask, and the thing is like, this seems very difficult and very impossible. What do I have to do? And I've been able to walk everyone through the steps because I've done it 4 times now. Also, shout out my buddy Jemuel Maktabe just got his.
Did Jem get his?
He got his, yeah. And
cool.
I helped him with that too. I got him the letters and similar kind of deal where he was talking to me. He's like, man, I'm really worried. I don't think I have enough like stuff. And I sort of like talked him through it. And I was like, look, like the endorsements are the biggest thing. Get whoever you know and whoever you work with and associate yourself with who has any kind of profile in anything, whether it's management, music, booking, production, artist, like whatever it is, like just get that person to like do you a solid.
Yeah.
Be like, hey man, I'll get you back down the line. Too long to explain now, but can you just write a letter saying that you agree that I'm a valuable member of the community in some way, whether that's a guitar player. I mean, he was never going to have any problem with that. I mean, he's so plugged in with different things. And
Yeah.
he's doing great work up in Michigan, and he's done stuff in Nashville, and just what a cool guy and what a great player. I just always was a fan of his since he was a kid and first coming here, and it's just, you know, that was what I said in the letter. I was just like, I have 100% confidence that this guy is going to be successful in whatever he does.
I think you
whether
signed my first as well.
Right, yeah.
I think, you know what, also, anyone who you go, oh, I'll give you one back for signing this and stuff, they're always like, nah, I know what I'm doing is a good thing, so.
Yeah, well,
they're never going to call you on the favor, you know?
So many people helped me on my first ones, and there was people that got people that I didn't even know to like write a letter.
I had that on my first one.
So it happened third hand, where I got some big name people who I'd never met, never talked to, wrote a letter just as a favor for someone else who was doing a favor, because it comes up a lot. I mean, everyone who's ever moved to the States and into Nashville to do music, pretty much they've all done the O1 visa thing. And I've got some great referrals for really good attorneys. Had some really shitty ones that wasted a lot of time and made my life stressful because I went into it not having the confidence to kind of just live my life and go about things and be okay with it. It was very traumatic in a lot of ways. But once you get the right people, I've got some fantastic people. You don't have to have achieved a lot. I think that's the common misconception. They really are just asking you, the requirements is like, are you legit? Because there's no way to really quantify musical success. It's like having a degree or something. It's like, yeah, that's one part of it. But they just want to see that you are, you know, that you're good in your area and that you are a qualified professional that other people will say, yeah, this is someone that I would call to get out on a bus with me. This is someone that I would call to come into the studio with me. Or this is someone I would call to come do photographs and edit, you know, sessions or something. Just be like, this guy is cool. Like, just trust me, this guy's cool. We're all cool. And this guy is cool enough to be part of this whole thing that we do that's really cool.
Yeah, so speaking of just how, like, you have the coolest job in the world. Like, you're a session player, right? Like,
yeah, it's the coolest job in the world.
Like, I don't know, I remember when I met you, you brought me to my first session and I was so scared and confused, and it was you, Craig Young, and Jerry Rowe.
Yep.
And Jerry started talking to me about the Predator, the film soundtrack, and I was like, this is the coolest guy I've ever met. Yeah. And he's a drummer. Oh, cool. And I had no clue how any of this works. But when do you think, what is like the quantitative, I am a session player moment? Because I'm sure that's got to be a kind of somewhat internal battle of, am I a session player? Am I not? What am I? How do you determine within yourself, but I guess for other people, you know, what a session player is or how you know someone is one?
Someone told me a long time ago that, it's funny you said that, those names, Craig and Jerry. Someone said you're not a session player until you're regularly working with Jerry Rowe. And there was some other names in there too that are all people that but I like Jerry as an example because he's like the quintessential absolute top tier musician, to the point where it's like what he does cannot be replicated by anybody because his understanding and his natural ability of music is just so unparalleled.
Right.
But he's also the funniest guy in the room, and it's just like he sort of doesn't take anything seriously while taking everything seriously at the same time.
Right.
And that's why I think of Jerry and I think of Craig and I think of, you know, Evan Hutchings, and like these guys that where we're just laughing our asses off the whole time. We're hanging out, we're having it. Yeah, there's definitely times to be serious for sure, but like the point when you get around the real session players, you just realize for them it is like absolutely fun all the time because they're so naturally good at it and they're so passionate about it that it's not this sort of like, oh, I've got to go into work today, like I wonder what it's gonna be like. Oh God, I'm gonna be like no. But it's like the guys that are like the cats are the ones that just. It's like Viv Savage says in Spinal Tap, have a good time all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to be like. And that's what separates the real top level from the rest. It's just the people who are just, it's all positive energy because you see these guys working and you're just like, this is just naturally what you were born to do.
Yeah.
And this is where you are just the most happy and the most comfortable. There's no one in the world more qualified than like these people. And that's the one thing that I had to learn for years was like to not be nervous and find that sort of beautiful balance between caring and being extremely passionate and taking things seriously, but not stressing out. Because you're just trying to reduce the amount of stress level in the room. There's usually always enough stress with artists and producers, and then you've got label heads and managers and A&R people in the room too, and then you've got a poor engineer that's an assistant that's getting his ass kicked all day trying to navigate the Pro Tools and stuff. So it's like that's
and
the
Pro
best.
Tools is crashing.
Yeah, and it's like, and it can happen on any given situation. It's like, and our job as the players is to just keep it fun and, and be cool to everyone, be nice. Like, there's no one in our world anymore who yells at people and gets stressed out. That doesn't exist. And that was a thing back in the day, and things were kind of pretty tense energy a lot of the time because there's some guys that would chew out an engineer or a player if something wasn't going their way. And it's like, now we don't have to be that way because the technology is caught up and it's so good. Everyone is so competent now. There's no bad engineers anymore.
Right.
All the studios are great. There's really there's no problems to ever deal with. So it's like, why would you ever treat it like it's a stressful situation? Because it isn't. It's always fun.
Right.
It's always a good time. There's always something new, even if the songs aren't inspiring or there's something a little bit like, oh, shit, we've done this before,
Yeah.
like I'm tired of this song or whatever. The fun is just like when you count off the song and you play and it's
all there.
And the challenge there is that maybe they don't like what you did and they've got some idea and you've got someone like Jerry who's just not afraid to completely shoot it straight and be like, no, your idea is bad, our idea is good. We will do your idea if you want, but I'm telling you in a respectful way because I'm so good at what I do. Like the thing that you're wanting to do is bad. The thing that we're doing is better, but we will do the thing that you want to do. And we'll give you all the options. And it's like, that's why guys like that are like at the top, It's like, because everything has a good intention and has heart and passion behind it. And that's why I always tell nothing is ever going to come across the wrong way. Even if you tell someone their song sucks.
Right.
If it's coming from a good place, it might be a little awkward in the moment. They'll be like, dude, did he really just say that? Like, you're just kind of like, oh shit. Like, but it's like, you're not going to upset. If it comes from a place of caring and being passionate, like, you're not going to upset.
And they need it. Dude, my favorite Jerry Rowe moment for me is not even musical. My parents were visiting and we're going to Taj on Nolensville Pike and out walks Jerry and Buick. And so we're having a chat and my dad's like, a couple months ago, he hits me up. He goes, oh, do you still see the tall fella? And I was like, what are you on about? He goes, tall fella with no hair, speaks really nice, likes Pantera. And I was like, oh, Jerry.
Yeah, that could only be.
I was like, there can only be one fella. So look, you touched on, this is something you had to teach me about when I moved to town, because I guess it's a cultural thing, but it's not just an American culture thing, is it? It's kind of it's a very Nashville thing. You touched on the hang. What does the hang mean? Because I mean, we've known each other for 5 odd years now, I guess.
Yeah, at least.
And you know, I've seen you a bunch of times each year, and you've helped me out whenever I've needed help. But we've hung out, and you know, I've learned a lot from you. But learning about the hang is, I know. Dude,
That's the hang right there.
He's-
That he has got that figured out.
he's been sit. They're going to hear this on the audio.
I know,
It's
it's
not
so
me
good. Yeah, the
snoring.
snort,
It's Tibbs. But what is
I've learned a lot from Dibs over the
Yeah.
years. Be like Dibs, you know. Just-
what does the hang look like for you?
It's
Or what is the advice for the hang moving to Nashville? Because I think
It's
everyone
just-
is so eager to impress, you know what I mean, when they get here. And that's not the thing.
it's just be cool, you know. Just be cool. Don't and we're all capable of like getting in moments where we get a little excitable or we overthink a situation. It's nerves. Every human gets nervous at some point over things, and you might do things like you might do something maybe like the wrong way, or someone will correct you on just being like, hey, you shouldn't say that to that person, or like, hey, you should be a little more positive, or a little more whatever. Like, some people are just not capable of the hang at all, and they never will be, and we know that just in life in general. That's just how the world is. Some people are just not cool, and you know, they're just difficult or whatever. But I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like sincerity is absolutely key.
Yeah.
Having a backbone and having a spine and being able to stick up for yourself and stick up for things that you truly believe, even if they're sort of instinctive musical decisions.
Right.
If you get in arguments with people over something on a session or a part or something, like if it's coming from a place of like, this person is really passionate and just cares like above all, like that will put you in that top tier of like people. Yeah, there's something to being just agreeable all the time, and it's like being in a band in a van, you know? It's like you definitely want at least one band member that's someone who is just really quiet. Usually the bass player, not opinionated, just goes with the flow, stays out of the way, doesn't add anything into the mix when things get...
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you need your visionaries in the band. You know, a guitar player's job is to have an ego. You know, I feel like that's it. Like you've got to kind of play with an ego if you're a lead guitar player. You've got to have that capacity to push yourself to the front of the stage and rock out, like metaphorically in a session setting. Like people want that.
Right.
You know, and so that's not to be confused with like this person is full of themselves. That kind of stuff comes off more in subtle ways. I think it's sort of human science and the science of interaction. It's like you just start noticing certain things, and some people are just extremely likable people in a natural sense, like you are. You know, like
I don't know about that.
you know, Evan Hutchings is just an incredibly likable person. You know, it's like he can say whatever he wants and it's always going to come across the right way because he's just he's got a great demeanor.
Right.
And some people don't have a great like bedside manner.
Okay,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? I don't feel like I particularly do.
I wouldn't
but-
say that.
Yeah, I mean in some settings, like, but it's sort of like, yeah, you can rub people the wrong way over certain things, and that's totally fine. It's just like it's where the intention's coming from. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's some of the people who are the best hang are quiet and chill, and they don't talk and they don't. And then some of the people who are the best hang are the people who are like always will never shut up.
Yeah.
And it's just about the delivery and it's the intention behind it. And there's just etiquette as far as, you know, don't brag to people about what's going on. And hey, Dibs, what you've got going on. You don't need to always be telling everybody, oh, I'm doing this gig, I'm doing this session, because like people will know, you know. And I think it's important to be sensitive to some people who are, you know, it's a very hurtful thing when you're slow and you're not getting booked, or it seems like you're not getting booked, and it seems like other people are being favored, and you're maybe just like, you're not in the club that particular week or month. But but I mean, on that side of things, like, I've got some great advice from some older players, and they always say, like, look back on your calendar. Don't ever look forward at your calendar. Don't look at what you've got booked coming up. Just like go back 6 months and like look at everything that you did in those 6 months, and look at all of those things that were unplanned, and some of these things that just they landed right in the middle of a week where you thought that you were fucked and you didn't have anything going on, and someone hit you up and it ended up turning into something that was really cool, or it was great money, or you met like a bunch of new people that got you into some new culture and some new environment. And sort of being sensitive. We're all family in this studio world. We all look out for each other. There is no place for anyone screwing anyone over.
Right.
It doesn't, like, people are like, man, is it competitive? Like, do people go out like asking to try to like sneak their way into like sessions? You're like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, it's like we are all. You just have to have a lot of integrity and a good character to be in this. Like, I think in the live world, maybe there's a little bit more sort of conniving and finagling and backstabbing, and you hear about it in other cities, like other places that are not Nashville. You hear it's very much more competitive, and people will step on each other to get ahead.
Right.
Because they don't see that there's this end goal of like this beautiful community. It's just sort of, no, I need to be able to like pay my bills, and I want to get ahead, and I want to be famous, and I want to be on.
Yeah.
I want to play on this big person's record. I want to play on this big tour. Whereas in Nashville, by our standards, everything is a big record.
Yeah.
Anything that's on a major label is a big record.
Well,
And
it's
if
also, I
right.
feel like you've pointed out this before, and we've talked about this, is you are where you're meant to be, and you'll end up where you're meant to end up. And I think
Exactly.
Well, that's why I do this, is community. I always say that. Speaking of, let's tie this up and go into, let's do a quick lesson and maybe some gear talk. But let's do my quick fire questions. You've got one album that changed the way you played or changed the way you thought about music. One piece of advice for anyone moving here. I know how tough that
That's
one
not
album
part.
is.
That's not part of two parts of the same question, right?
No, it's two separate questions, two quick fire questions. But like, what's an album that you think fundamentally changed the way you hear music or view music, or even the guitar or anything like that?
That's influential.
Yeah. I just worded it in the Australian way, so it's upside down.
The most obvious one I could think of is "The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me" by Brand New.
Are you going to
Because
the going to the show?
It's just I am.
Yeah.
It's just the best alternative rock album ever made. You know, it's like the tones, the production, the guitar parts, everything. I could just go on for days about that.
I agree. I can actually.
It's simplistic, but amazing as well. And there's not a lot of overdubs on that record. It's usually a left side and a right side, and it just fills up so much space and feels huge. There's so many others, but that one just.
Yeah.
Probably recently I'm thinking about it because of the show that they announced that I'm going to go to.
We listened to it in the van on the weekend, and I was like, oh, dude, I forgot how insane this record is.
Insanely good. It's just, it's.
And then someone moves to town tomorrow. One piece of advice. We've given so many in this video, but one penultimate, like they've got the 10-second elevator pitch. Hey, I moved to town today. I just unloaded the car. Any advice?
Just go hit people up. Go talk to, do what you did, and just look at who played on the records that you like, because they've got a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and they're probably hanging out somewhere in town that week, and go talk to people that you like. That's the best thing. That's the best thing to do. And it's like, it's not only because it's good for your own knowledge and learning. It takes the pressure off, because you start meeting these people and you immediately understand they're regular people. who are all nice and all accommodating and all willing to, and then you realize you were like, oh, I don't have to be scared of this industry.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because these people are all really cool. I've looked up to them for years, but they're all available and they're all regular people who are willing to give advice and are willing to give their time. And that's Nashville. You know, that's the Nashville experience, is being able to just talk to someone, you know.
And doesn't matter what level.
Doesn't matter what level. Anyone is available.
Damn. Well, thank you, Sol.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Let's do some hanging.
This is awesome.
Cheers.
Yeah.